Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night. So here's my history with this franchise. I've seen quite a few films in this franchise, but I've never seen the original. The Silent Night, Deadly Night movies that I've seen are Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. So, I've been curious. I've wanted to see the original, and I'm really glad that I finally got to watch it because I'm telling you what, I thought this movie was great. I was very pleasantly surprised with this movie. And since I have seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, I have seen bits and pieces of this movie because people who have seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 will know that a lot of that movie is just like reused footage from this movie, but I've never seen the entire first movie, so yeah, finally got to check it out, and yeah, I was very, very happy with this. This was an excellent slasher film. I was honestly kind of blown away. I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a very solid slasher movie. Like I was like, what have I been doing with my life? How have I not checked out the original? But the second one's very famous too because the second one is kind of a so bad it's good movie. It kind of has like a so bad it's good type tone where, it's got that classic line, "Garbage Day." But this one was a straightforward horror film, very dark. I thought the story was really good, especially for like a slasher movie doesn't really call for a lot of story. There was a lot of story. The kills were great. Silent Night, Deadly Night, great film. So jumping into a plot summary, the movie centers around this kid Billy, and he early on in the film he goes to visit his catatonic grandfather, and his grandfather's catatonic, so of course he doesn't speak, but Billy's family leaves, and plot twist, he can speak, and he just goes on this crazy rant, and he starts telling Billy, to fear Santa Claus, and that if he's ever at all a little bit naughty, he will get punished by Santa Claus. So, that kind of initially instills this fear of Santa Claus in Billy, and then a little bit later on, when Billy is still a little kid, his entire family is killed by this crazed man in a Santa suit. So after that, Billy and his brother are sent to live in this like Catholic orphanage, and the head nun there, Mother Superior, she is she's insane as well, and she is extremely strict. She's constantly punishing Billy, and she loves punishing acts of naughtiness as well. So yeah, like that kind of leads to it further traumatizes Billy. But anyways, once Billy is grown, once he's 18 years old, he starts working at this toy store, and for a minute things are going pretty well for Billy. He's working. He seems, even though he's got all this past trauma, he seems pretty well adjusted. But then, Christmas time rolls around again, and all the memories come back, all the trauma comes back, and basically Billy's boss makes him dress up as Santa for the toy store. Like he's gotta, dress up as Santa and be Santa for the store and have kids sit on his lap and stuff. And yeah, basically the fact that it's Christmas time and Billy has to dress up as Santa, and he sees some crazy stuff go down, it makes him completely snap. So he starts killing people and punishing the naughty. So that is the basic plot summary. So first things first, I'm gonna kind of touch on the fact that this movie was pulled from theaters a week after release, because I don't know if other people are like well aware of that, but that's always something that I've kind of heard about this movie, that it was pulled from theaters, and that kind of made me like, gave me like this morbid curiosity where I'm like, I wonder how crazy this movie is. Like, is it really that crazy, or were people just bugging? Because that's kind of what I thought. Like, maybe just some soccer moms, some Karens were like, tripping because it's like a R-rated slasher movie that centers around Santa Claus. So maybe it was just some soccer moms that were tripping. But after watching the film, I don't I kind of this is gonna sound crazy because I love slasher films and kind of darker films, and I like uber gory stuff and stuff that has very that has like very dark themes and stuff that's almost like controversial. I love stuff like that. And this film overall, the entire film, not just the fact that it kind of like it's centered around Christmas and it has this killer Santa, not just that, like the whole film is very dark, it's gritty. This is like a sleazy, dark, gritty slasher, and I can kind of understand why it was pulled from theaters. Like goodness gracious, this movie was dark, and this came out in 1984, so like I could see where people were just shocked, because nowadays we have stuff like the Terrifier franchise. You can kind of get away with a little bit more nowadays. Like you can, it's a double-edged sword, because you can get away with some stuff in some regards, but you can't get away with as much stuff like for a comedy movie now. Like you're more restricted in that regard. But in terms of like a gory slasher movie, you can get away with more when you're talking about that. But basically, I can understand why this movie was pulled, because it was just very dark. Like you had of course the whole killer Santa angle, but I feel like it's like it felt so real, because they like built up Billy's character so much. It like felt like a true crime documentary, like depicting the life of a real serial killer, because you just see this kid go from like a normal kid to a killer, and you see all his trauma and the stuff surrounding like the guy who killed Billy's parents. That was really effed up. Like that guy was just completely sick, and there's some stuff there's like a couple sexual assault scenes in the movie. Those were pretty sick, and also like I could see where like maybe Catholics wanted to get this movie banned, because you could argue that it like depicts Catholics in a bad light. I'm not arguing one way or another, but I'm saying like I could see where people could make that argument. So like I understand why this movie did get pulled from theaters, even though I really liked this movie and I think it was perfect. Like this movie was perfect the way it is. I like the fact that it was so dark. Like after watching the movie now, I can understand why it was pulled, because it was just a culmination of so many controversial elements. I can see why it got pulled. But anyways, jumping into my next point. My next point that I want to talk about is my next point that I want to talk about are the kills. This is a slasher movie, so we got to talk about the kills. And oh my goodness gracious, were the kills fantastic in this movie. Linnea Quigley's in this movie, and if people have watched other videos on the channel, you know I'm a huge fan of her. You know, I think she's pretty cool, so it's cool to see her in this. And her kill was so iconic, where she's like impaled on the deer antlers, and you see the antlers like come through her stomach. Fantastic stuff. And then my another kill that I liked was there are those bullies on the sled hill, and the one kid is like sledding down the hill, and then Billy just pops out with an axe and decapitates the kid, and then you see him slide down the hill. You know, his body is like still sliding down the hill on the sled with no head, and then his head rolls down after. And this was made in '84, and there's like a lot of '80s movies that have super fake looking heads. You know, like Sleepaway Camp 2, like the head, when there's like that, the one kid gets decapitated, the head looks pretty fake. Even though I love that movie, that's just an example that I always go to. Like the fake head, when there's like that fake head on the ground, it looks so good. Even Linnea Quigley's kill, when you see the antlers coming out of her stomach, it looks super realistic. So the kills in this, the gore, the variety of kills, the creativity, like the kills in this are fantastic. So you need good kills in a slasher movie, and the kills in this were fantastic. So yeah, I had to mention those two. Those were my two favorites, but there were a lot of other fantastic kills. Those were just my two faves that I had to mention. But anyways, moving along, I actually just have one more major point that I want to get into, and then I'm gonna head out. So here you go. This is the last main point that I want to talk about. So I think I mentioned this briefly. So this movie has so much story. Like they build up Billy's character so much, and I thought, like, I was not expecting that. You don't expect that much story in a slasher, but they just like really like showed you like all these traumatic events. And you know, it, like, once it gets to the point where Billy's snapping, it just makes sense, because it was like a culmination of all these traumatic events, a lot of them surrounding Christmas and you know, naughtiness and punishment. Like they took so long to develop Billy's character, and so many slasher killers, they don't really have a lot of character. It's just like, you know, they're just killing people because they're killing people, and a lot of times that works perfectly. Like in the Halloween films, you know, especially like the first Halloween, Michael Myers he doesn't have a motivation. That's what makes him so scary. There's no rhyme or reason. He's just some clean-cut kid who snapped. But like Billy, you can understand why he snapped, and they build it up, and it's just like slowly builds. It's just like one thing, you know, happens, another thing happens, and they took so long to you know, they took so long to build his character, and I just thought that was really refreshing. I didn't expect it, and just, yeah, the story in this, I don't know, it was really good. And I kind of liked that, how it's like, it just, I feel like a lot of the little story elements blended together nicely. Like you have, you know, he's scared of Santa initially because his grandfather, and then this crazy Santa comes and you know, kills his family, and then, you know, so he's like, those two events make him scared of Santa, so he doesn't want to be naughty. And then he has this crazy head nun at the orphanage that, you know, she instills this fear of being naughty in him as well. So it's like he has this warped sense of reality where he thinks like he's got to be good all the time, and if he's naughty one time, Santa's gonna get him. And it's like, even though we as the audience know it's like an irrational fear, you can see why he would have this, heightened fear of naughtiness and Christmas, and how it kind of warps his sense of reality. So yeah, I really liked the story. I really liked how they really took the time to flesh out Billy's character, and I don't know. I think this is a very solid slasher movie. Like, I was really pleasantly surprised with this. So, in terms of a recommendation, I would absolutely, positively recommend this. I don't know if it's on any streaming right now. I rented it on Amazon. It was cheap. I think because it's Cyber Monday today, it was cheaper. It was like only $1.99 to rent. But it's December. Christmas is right around the corner. I think this is worth paying for. I would, if you can get this for $1.99 on Amazon, I think this is worth renting or even buying. I think there's a 4K release is coming out, so that's pretty darn cool. I think it's like the first time ever it's coming out, so that's supposed to come out pretty soon. So yeah, like I think this movie is definitely worth watching, and it's I think it's worth buying. I would buy this. So if you have not seen Silent Night, Deadly Night, definitely check it out. It's a perfect time. Christmas is right around the corner. So yeah, that has been my recommendation, and that has been my review of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.